How do you measure for a windshield on a motorcycle? Let's talk about that. Let's get cracking. Good moto morning. Welcome to another episode of Kraken's Garage. Today on Kraken's Garage, we're going to talk windshields, specifically on baggers, in my case, my Icon Revival. And before everybody says, oh my gosh, another Harley video, don't turn your nose up on this because you may learn something on how to measure properly for a windshield to work for you on any given motorcycle. And we'll talk about what Harley-Davidson offers in their showroom versus what's on the shelf in the aftermarket world as well. So I hope you stick around. We're also going to give a small shout out at the end of this video to my end watchers. Let's get to it. First off, I have a couple of windshields here that Colby sent me out from California that didn't work for him. He decided to go aftermarket because they're quite a bit less expensive than the Harley-Davidsons, and as it turns out, these did not work out for him. Now, where he's very bright, he goes to motorcycle swap meets and finds other people's failures that they bought a windshield and it didn't work, and you get to buy them for peanuts compared to what they cost brand new. So that's a very wise choice when you want to experiment with windshields. When you invest your hard-earned money on a windshield and you drag it home and you put it on your bike and you go for a long ride and it doesn't help the buffeting or wind noise or whatever the issue is, wind and weather protection you're looking for, it's a real bummer that you've invested. Once you've mounted it, it's almost guaranteed to not be able to return it because you're going to get some marring on the plexiglass with the installation, and it makes it tough for the manufacturer of the windshield to resell it. So just bear that in mind. If you go to your Harley dealership, this is for baggers only, regarding the Electra Glide, Street Glide, and Road Glides. They have 3 different models for each of those bikes in clear, I believe a light shade, and then a dark smoke. And they all 3 are different heights, and they all are marked with demo on them. They'll hand them to you. You can go bolt it to your bike and go for a ride and see if it works for you. I think that's a brilliant idea. I think that's a brilliant idea for Harley-Davidson to market it that way. That way the end consumer gets to try it out before they invest their hard-earned money, only to find out that it didn't work. So in this case, it answers a lot of questions for them right on the spot at the dealership. So that's good stuff there. Now the downswing is they only offer it on the Electra Glide, Street Glide, and Road Glide. So if you want to get a windshield for your Road King, or you want to get one for your Sportster, Wide Glide, or something of that nature, you're fresh out of luck. So how do you measure to take your best shot at ordering an aftermarket or an OEM one? How do you measure to make sure that it's going to work for you? And that's what we're going to kick around in Kraken's Garage today. Some of the Harley shops I've been in have been taking it one step further, I should say, and they'll also offer some of the more popular aftermarket brand windshields. Clockworks, Memphis Shades, Freedom windshields, and they will offer demo models of those as well for you to try out. However, most of them don't really stock all the different shades and colors of those aftermarkets, so they'll probably have to order it. They normally do stock the Harley-Davidson branded ones made for the bike. There's all kinds of arguments. Some are less expensive, some are thicker in quality than the OEM Harley ones. I've never found OEM ones to be a problem. Kraken's personal thoughts on OEM versus aftermarket? I'm 50-50, it could go either way. In this particular case on windshields, I normally go OEM because A, I can try it out before I buy, and B, it beats buying 2 or 3 windshields trying to find the right one that works for you and your height. So it may cost you more upfront initially for the price of the OEM Harley-Davidson windshield, but it may cost you less in the long run versus having to buy 1, 2, or 3 windshields trying to find the right one that works for you. Get it right out of the box on the first try. Saves a lot of headache and grief and trips to the post office. So give that some thought. Now typically, where you measure for most manufacturers is from the center of this bolt right here. So in this particular case, this OEM stock windshield is about 10 3/4 inch, call it 11 inches. In some cases, some of the aftermarket manufacturers measure from the first part you see the plexiglass. So in that case, it would go to 10 inches. about an inch less in this case, or a ½ inch less in this case. How do you measure for a windshield? This is your point of reference right here, and you should ask the person, rider, to sit on the bike in a normal slouched fashion. Everybody thinks they have perfect posture when they're sitting up on their bike. They don't. You tend to slouch a little bit. Okay, the actual height of the windshield when you're measuring should wind up right in between your upper lip and the tip of your nose. So you have a small window of where the tip of the windshield should stop. Now bear in mind, you also have a raked angle of the windshield, and we're going to account for that when we measure. Okay, so when we're measure, I'm going to put the tape side that actually shows the measurement towards me, and I'm going to run this right down to that screw and angle it back with the windshield. And what I'm looking for is, what's the first number I see when I'm looking forward at eye level? In this case, 18 inches. So I'm looking at a windshield roughly about that tall. That's not going to happen for me. Aesthetically, I think it would ugly up this bike beyond repair. So I'm going to take an opposite direction. I'm going to lower mine because right now I'm getting a tremendous amount of buffeting. So I'm hoping to get some cleaner air by putting a very shallow windshield on my bike to help with that issue. 18 inches is the eyesight line, so you can figure what's the difference between your eyesight line and somewhere in between your lower lip and your tip of your nose is roughly about 2 inches. So in my case, at 6'4", in my slouch normal riding position, I would be looking at somewhere around a 16 and a half inch windshield. They don't sell them in half-inch sizes, so you're going to have to go with full inch increments in North America. They're going to use centimeters in the UK. Just do your conversion properly. When you remove your other windshields, clean them up, and we'll talk about how to do that in just a second, and then wrap them up in something, some bubble pop or something like that to keep dust and sediment off of it and keep it in pristine condition. Now in this particular case, I don't know what brand this is that Colby sent me, but you can see these kickoffs right here on the side. Now they're not as pronounced as, say, a Clockworks windshield, which has a tremendous lip on it. If you have those lips on it, you can have a lower windshield and still get 2 more inches worth of air deflection because that lip kicks it up over your helmet. So if eyesight is a problem, meaning you have to look through the windshield, and these are not designed to be looked through. They do make the tall ones that are designed, but these shortest ones are not designed. So let me clarify that real quick. Now that it's still hot and it's not wintertime, I'm going to keep this low one on and hope I get clean air buffeting over top of me. This one has a slight lip, so I expect the windshield to really kind of feel like it's maybe an inch taller. So bear that in mind when you order Clockworks and speak to the representatives of those companies that offer these aftermarket windshields with these lips on them. They do help, and a lot of people will put an aftermarket lip on. There's a famous company called Landmar lip, clamps onto the top of your windshield and then it's adjustable, so you can kind of fish around and find the sweet spot. Everybody is different, and at 6'4", my windshield is going to have to be this bloody tall. Aesthetically, that gives me heartburn on my beautiful Icon. That's not going to happen. So in my case, per usual, I'm not the smartest person in the world. I'm going to choose form over function because aesthetically, this bike melts my butter the way it is. So I like what's happening here. That's a quick install and a quick how-to measure and how that will affect somebody that's riding a universal Japanese motorcycle, a Triumph Bonneville, something like that, where you're going to put on a windshield. You can roughly hold up the windshield if you're at the motorcycle shop and see roughly where it would fit, and what you're looking for is that magic window right between your snout and your upper lip. Think about that when you're shopping for windshields. It always helps, I'm by myself in the garage, if you have a second person doing the measurements and holding the tape for you so it doesn't disrupt your normal riding posture. What I use to clean my windshields and have for my entire biking career is, they call it Plexi Plastic Cleaner, and it has performed marvelously for me. Please use a clean microfiber towel. Don't use one that you've dropped on the floor, that kind of thing. And we'll get a good protective coat on it for our trip coming up in a couple of weeks. So that's today's tech tip on how to measure for a windshield. I hope I made it simple for you to understand. There's some wiggle room there because everybody's dimensions are different. What you're trying to do is command the wind around you in an appropriate manner. It also helps with buffeting on the helmet, which can cause damage to your ears by fighting that off mile after mile, droning for hours. So it's also a safety issue as well, if that makes sense. And to all my end users, this week's shout out goes to Iron Dundee. You probably heard me mention him before. He's the gentleman in Australia that won the Odin gloves. Mick is a super good dude. He has been working hard on his channel. He's a little down right now. I get the feeling that his growth and development, he was expecting to progress further than where he's gotten. He has at 263 subs. He has put out 50 videos, and he's rocking a 2020 Harley-Davidson Iron Sportster 1200. If you would be so kind, I'll have a link below to his channel and to his Instagram. If you would be so kind to stop by and take a look at a video and just even comment, it is uplifting to a content creator. Heavens knows, I have produced 8 hours worth of video, editing, getting it posted and everything, only to have 50 looks and 3 thumbs up and 1 comment, and that'll be from my mom or something, you know? So I get it. It's really a tough road to climb up through YouTube. With that said, he's a very energetic person, great sense of humor, a solid, good person. And I hope he continues on his journey on YouTube he provides to the community. So Iron Dundee, hang in there and stay with it. And there's my ghost dog, this time hanging out on this side, or maybe it's this side or maybe both. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, give it a thumbs down. If you want to see more in the future, hit that subscribe button right down there. Knock my glasses off in the corner. And remember, folks, go riding, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.